And welcome back. Navigating marriage to a partner with a child can be a delicate balancing act. That's where marrying a parent steps in. They offer resources and support for step parents and those embracing blended family dynamics. And joining me now is the founder of Marrying a Parent, Erica Grace, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is a topic that a lot of people deal with, right?
Yes.
And some people navigate it well, some people don't.
Yes.
So it's some big challenges, but you decided you really wanted to tackle it. Why?
Because I entered into a marriage with someone who had a child, and I didn't know what I was doing. I went into it extremely blindly, and going into it that way left me just with many blind spots that ended up leading to the ultimate demise of the marriage. So I started writing the book as a stepmom, and then concluded and finished writing the book as a solo mom, and said, you know what, let me bring this all together and write a dating guide for people who are dating a parent, marrying a parent, and dating as solo parents.
So let's get into it.
Okay.
All right. So if I'm dating a parent, right? What are some things I should know?
So first, you want to make sure that their relationship with their co-parent or their child's other biological parent has peace, has boundaries. You want to make sure the person that you're dating has parenting time set already, that there's financial obligations that are taken care of, so that you come into this being a partner to this person, helping them raise their child, but not necessarily that main person for the child. You want to meet that person's other biological parent before you jump in and meet their child. There are just certain boundaries that should be in place before you dive head in and fall in love.
And yeah, a lot of people don't do this. Recipe for disaster.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And so I think about blended families, and I think about how complex it is. It looks very easy, but the reality is there's a lot of work.
It is.
And for yourself, talk to us a little bit about your journey and how rough it was navigating those waters.
So I came from your traditional nuclear family. So when I met this person that had a child, it was automatically, we love this little girl, and we spread love throughout the family. But there's a whole other adult involved, and that's her other biological parent. So, her morals and her rules and how she feels about raising her own child come into your union with your partner. And so if you don't know that person very well, and you don't set boundaries in place, and you don't know the things that make their unit work before you come in, it'll blow up.
Yeah. I'm gonna take you to the area of co-parenting. So co-parenting is huge. Many people, millions are doing it right now. How do you maintain that healthy friendship, the boundaries, and still be able to co-parent?
I think you have to set boundaries first, and they have to be very strong boundaries. You cannot move the goalpost. The children come first in that. So you have to maintain some type of relationship where you communicate in a cordial way. You may not be friends with the person at first or ever, but you try and be cordial because your kids deserve some peace, and just communicate however that is. If text is best, they have new apps through the courts where the court can determine if the tone in your text is off. So if you have a tumultuous relationship with an ex, go that route.
Court agreements are out there a lot, and they help to really set boundaries and keep boundaries in place. Talk to us about how they really can navigate that rough side that so many people deal with.
Yeah, the courts are tough because they don't know the internal dynamic of that family.
Right.
They're seeing the two people at their worst. So if you are able to navigate that dynamic between each other, great. Have a settlement agreement, be open. Sometimes your marriage may have not worked out, but it doesn't mean they're a bad parent. But once the courts are involved, you're leaning in on them to make decisions for you.
Yeah. So your app called a movement, right? You got a movement going on.
Yeah.
So talk to me, how do you feel this movement is really moving?
Yeah. So we're talking about things that are uncomfortable.
Right.
It's for men and women. And so sometimes when you're a woman speaking on behalf of or for men, women who might be in not so great co-parenting relationships aren't happy about that. Or if you're speaking for the women, men it's automatically gets polarized. But we have children involved. We want to make sure they're happy. And then you want to make sure that each individual is happy as well and in a peaceful situation. So we open up dialogue to ask about what your relationship was maybe with your step parent or how hard it is being a stepmom or stepdad. And people often comment in my DMs and then I'll bring it back to a story without their names because it's really personal for them.
Talk about being really personal. You're pretty upfront about the fact that you had to deal with infidelity in your relationship.
Yeah.
How that actually shaped your relationship.
Yeah.
And your ability to actually speak about that.
Yeah.
How'd you get through it, I guess?
Writing this book.
Really?
Yes, I started this book in my marriage because I didn't know what I was doing as a co-parent or as a stepmom. I interviewed adult stepchildren to get their viewpoint to say, okay, this is how I can navigate this and be a great stepmom. But things happen and you don't publish the book, and then 7 years later or 6 years later, my ex-husband ended up having an affair with my stepdaughter's mom, and I was just like, okay, what happened? How did we get here? And that's how I was able to pretty much write the meat and potatoes of the book, which was like, there were no boundaries. I ignored flags. Here's what you can do if you're dating someone with children so you don't end up here.
Right. And for people who want to get the book, how do they go about doing that?
MarryingApParent.com. It's a parent with 2 P's, or Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, wherever you buy books.
Yeah. Biggest advice that you can give after having your personal experience and then hearing the experience of others?
Be able to put yourself first. It's okay. Even as a stepmom, solo mom, dad, put yourself first so that when you start to date, you make room for that new person to come in. Make sure there's boundaries around all your relationships with everyone in your life, and be able to communicate when you don't feel right in a situation, and make sure the person that you're communicating that to, especially if it's a spouse, is hearing you, taking that in and making changes.
Step-parents have a unique role in the life of a child,
Yeah.
and sometimes it can be smooth sailing, and then sometimes it can be very, very tricky. What advice do you have for somebody out there that may be a step-parent that may be navigating some tough waters, right? Maybe it's not acceptance by the child. Maybe it's, the child's biological. You have all different kinds of components to deal. What advice do you have for step-parents?
Read the book.
Right,
Definitely read the book. Communication and community was helpful. Mine was, I was talking to other step-parents. That was helpful. But I think as the Marrying a Parent platform and the collective grows, it's biological parents and people who are coming into the relationship with a child, being able to listen and understand what other step parents are going through so that they can hear. A lot of times you just don't, it's not registering to you that your partner is feeling like they're separate from you and your stepchild, or from you and your stepchild, or you and your biological child. Feeling like their other biological parent is angry at you all the time when you just want to give love or help. And it's also knowing when to step back. You are supposed to be just giving the assists to your partner, not necessarily parenting that child so much on your own. So,
you talked about red flags earlier. What are some of the most common red flags that we're seeing that maybe people aren't paying attention to?
You should not be meeting your potential stepchild or your partner's child before you meet their parent, their other biological parent. That was a mistake that I made. I think if you meet that other biological parent before you get very engulfed in this relationship, you'll understand the dynamics of how that relationship works. Now, of course, there's caveats. If the child's parent is not around, incarcerated maybe, passed away, or never raised a child, this doesn't apply to you. But if you are dating someone, in my case, that was the child was with the custodial parent, which was the mom, that was a red flag. If the person is introducing too many people to their kid, if they don't have parenting time, or if when they do have parenting time and it's every other weekend, they're spending that time with you and someone else is watching their child. If they are not contributing financially to their child, those are things you should step back, let them get that in order. I'm not saying don't date the person, but let them get their business affairs in order before you jump into that relationship with them.
The last one was huge, talking about the financial support.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there that just don't support their child, right? But then yet and still, other people will maintain a relationship and find out later on that, listen, the relationship either ends in a detrimental way, right? So how do you get through that piece? Because that piece is something that you just can't walk away from. And it's hard to walk away if you also too if you love somebody, but then it's not so. Listen, that's why you're here. Because I'm like, listen, you know, if you can't take care of your child, I mean, I don't know if I really want to be with you.
Absolutely not.
Right?
Absolutely not. You know, I would say to any custodial parents, whether you're a mom or a dad, don't be a martyr. If your person is not financially providing for their child, make sure you go the route. You have to go the court route. It's the last way you want to go, but it's not your job by yourself to take care of your child. That's A. For any single person coming into a relationship with someone who has a child, you should not be dating someone who's not taking care of children they already have, especially if you think that this is going to be someone you want to marry and have children with, because what they're doing in that relationship will come into yours. So you shouldn't be on these, you know, hot dates and spending money and flights and all of this if the children aren't taken care of. That's just something that you do not want to walk into. And it's the uncomfortable question that you should ask in the dating stage. And it's okay to ask those uncomfortable questions.
And you got to find out more information in the book.
Yes.
How to get the book?
Again, marryingapparent.com. I remember when I first started dating this person or got married, I said, marriage isn't as a parent when marrying a parent. So it's 2 P's, marryingapparent.com. The book is on Amazon and wherever you buy books, Barnes & Nobles, your local bookstores, it's there.
You buy it, they got it. All right. Thank you so much, Erica, for being with us.
Yes.
All righty. Listen, now, if you want more information, go ahead and visit the website, marryingapparent.com. Of course, follow them on Instagram and Twitter at marryingapparent. We encourage you don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up right after this.